Hey lovies, welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Google Acha, and in today's tutorial I will be showing you my everyday makeup look. This top, by the way, is very uncomfortable. I do not recommend, but for the sake of today's event I just have to wear it. I do hope you enjoy this tutorial and find it helpful. Without further ado, let us get... Oh my gosh, did this person really have to vacuum? Girl. Without further ado, let us get into the video. Okay, so my secret to a smooth finish or base is to shave your face. However, in this case, I only shaved my mustache. I did not have time to shave my face before, but shaving the mustache just gives a more smooth, flawless finish, and I don't like having my facial hairs showing underneath my makeup, so this is the most important step. Skin prep is also very important when you're doing your makeup, and I'll be going in with a sunscreen. What I love about this sunscreen is that it doesn't give you a white cast, so you won't look purple, and it doesn't change the color of your foundation. Instead, it gives me a natural glow, and therefore I won't have to use any illuminating drops to give me that radiant shine, and my skin will be protected throughout the day. This sunscreen also leaves a tacky finish at the end, so it is amazing for your foundation to grip onto your face and last longer. Moving on to primer, this Maybelline Baby Skin Primer is my favorite. It is pore blurring. It gives you a flawless finish. I know I keep repeating this, but it is so important to find products that blur out, especially if you're like me and you have acne, or sometimes I get a breakout or rash. Oh, bless you. But it's important to invest in a really good primer and really take time to work it into your skin. And now we're going to start applying products onto my face. I love starting out with concealer because when you let it sit on your face for longer, it comes out more pigmented. I use two shades, one that is my foundation shade or my skin tone, and one that is lighter. I'll be starting out with the lighter concealer and applying it on my under eyes, my chin, my nose bridge, as well as my forehead. As you can see, I prefer working with shapes or a triangle specifically. You don't need to use the triangle or the shapes that I'm using. You can honestly go in randomly. This is just what works for me, and it covers much more surface area when I work with shapes or triangles. Now I'm going to be using that darker concealer shade, which is the same as my skin tone or my foundation shade, just to cover up my mustache, and this is what works for me. I'll also be using that same darker concealer to cover up my acne spots and my redness. If you will be using a full coverage foundation instead of the medium to buildable coverage one I'll be using in today's video, you can skip this step. However, I won't be using a full coverage foundation. This is why I need to make sure that my base and my scars are covered up before I can apply any product on top of it. I went back in with that same light shade of concealer just to apply it underneath my eye bags and my fine lines, so that when we're blending out the foundation, this will become more pigmented and you'll have a beautiful bright under eye. This Maybelline Fit Me Foundation is honestly my favorite, and I think it is the best foundation for beginners. It is a medium to buildable coverage, but before I apply it, I start off by applying some setting spray and letting it sit on my face. Then I'll be using my foundation brush and apply that foundation onto the concealer that we had already applied as a base. As you can see, I am buffing the foundation into my face and the skin. I am not dragging the product because as you move it, that concealer is going to mix with your foundation shade and it's going to end up changing the color completely. So make sure that you pat lightly. Once I've blended my foundation, I then blend out my chin concealer as well as the one on my forehead and around the mustache. Moving on to contour, I'll be using the Essence Soft Touch Mousse. It is almost like a foundation, and I love the creamy texture that it has because it is so easy to blend out, and it also complements the flawless base and look that we're going for today. I applied the contour by my cheeks as well as my forehead and my nose, and I dragged this contour upwards into my eyebrows just to give it a more snatched look. This blend is so smooth. This product is creamy. I'm telling you, invest in cream products. It is so easy to blend out. Now I'm going in with a flat foundation brush just to blend out that concealer underneath the eyes. As you can see, I am fanning it out at the edges. However, as I work my way upwards, I'll just be patting the product so that we don't move or lose any of that pigment that we have waited so long to blend out. So remember, at the edges, you fan it out. However, as you work your way upwards, simply pat that product into your face just to blend it. Do not move the product or fan it out as you are working your way underneath your eyes. I prefer to look upwards when I'm blending out the concealer directly underneath my eyes, just to make sure that I do not get any creases and that concealer covers any lines that I may have underneath my eyes. Then I'll be going in with my foundation brush just to blend out. You see that area where we had blended the contour and the concealer, making sure that everything is blended and looks as smooth as possible. Then I'll be going in with another very light concealer. I love this Rimmel Lasting Matte Concealer. It is so bright and so pigmented. You don't need to do this step if the brightness of your concealer is already good enough for you. However, I love a very bright under eye, and that is why I went in with just a little bit of a very light concealer just to accentuate and highlight my features even more. This step is honestly based on preference. You don't need to do this. Today I'll be using the Makeup Revolution Loose Banana Setting Powder, and I'll pour some of it onto a flat surface and apply it using a brush. I know some people prefer to use a sponge. This is just what works for me and what gives me a more airbrushed look or finish. It is based on your preference, but this is just what I prefer to use. And I tap off the excess powder before I apply it and pack it onto my face where I applied the concealer. So again, I'll be going in with the flat foundation brush just to blend out that concealer. Then we will go in with the setting powder. But as you can see, my under eyes are looking way more brighter. Now I'm going to press that brush, look up, and blend that setting powder into that concealer. I am basically patting in that product onto my face. As you can see, I am pressing and packing that powder into my face. However, it is not too cakey, and that is what gives me that airbrushed look. Don't forget to tap off the excess powder so that when you take pictures, especially if you'll be taking them in the night and they'll be flash used, you don't want to look like a ghost and look ashy. So make sure to tap off the powder and press it into that concealer. I don't apply the powder onto my forehead because for me it just appears patchy. However, I'll be applying it by my chin as well as the mustache. You don't need to bake after this, especially if you'll be taking pictures in the night. This might give you that white cast. However, because it was still during the day, I did not mind baking just for a little bit. And as I said, I love a bright under eye, which is why I go in with even more loose setting powder. However, you don't need to do this if you're just doing a basic everyday glam. I just wanted to, be a little extra. I wanted to highlight that contour, and that is why I went in with a flat sponge as well as the loose setting powder and patted it on just to further define that contour as well as my cheekbones. I also applied some setting powder around my mouth area because I know it sounds weird, but I do sweat there sometimes. So I just put on some powder to make sure that my makeup does not move whether I'm wearing a mask or I sweat throughout the day. For my lip combo, it is very simple today. I used a brown lip liner as well as a pinky nude lipstick. However, I honestly cannot tell you where I got this lip liner. It is from the local beauty supply store. It doesn't have any brand name or any labels. However, I will put a recommendation in the description box, so please do check that out. All these products will be listed there. To add a little bit more color and dimension to my face, I used a beauty blender just to blend out any concealer that was on my eyelids before, and then I'll be using my bronzer as my eyeshadow. Because I am using my bronzer shade, I'll be dragging it into my nose contour. This helps the whole appearance just come together and look like one blended, cohesive, everyday makeup look. Even though we are doing glam, this just helps everything blend together. I used the brush to blend out that excess powder. However, as you can see, it does not remove that white cast or that ashiness that we can now see on my face. However, I will be going in with some setting spray and my foundation brush to get rid of that ashiness the powder caused. After blending this out, I applied my bronzer to my cheekbones as well as my forehead, and this was the look. I did not apply any extra highlighter or blush. This was the complete date night get ready with me glam. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you found it helpful. I do hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. I love you. God loves you more. Goodbye.